Hello and welcome to the podcast Thin, Strong, Healthy. I'm Cheryl A. Major, and I want to welcome you. I'm so happy that you're listening to this, and my goal is to provide you with content that will help you learn to eat, to be, and feel healthier, both mentally and physically. Disclaimer, I'm not a doctor, so I will never give you medical advice, but I am a certified nutrition and wellness consultant, and I do have a degree in education from Boston University, so I can certainly teach you what I know and share my experience with you on the road of healthy eating, which I've been on for a few years now, and which actually helped me recover from chronic depression that I had lived with since I was 12 years old. So it's been an interesting trip. It's one that I am dedicated to sharing with others, because when you learn to use food to your advantage, you don't have to diet. You don't have to diet. And I'm not a fan of the concept of dieting. I call it a four-letter word, which it is. But diets are designed to fail. They are a huge business. And I like people to look at the idea of eating as more of a lifestyle change, a lifestyle adaptation, where they push bad stuff off their plate and they push good stuff on their plate. So it's a process. Small steps for big changes is what I call it. Even though I've just told you that I don't believe in diets, I do want to talk about one today. It's more of a philosophy than it is an actual diet, and it's the no carb, no sugar, I'll use the word in this case, diet. People who follow this diet look healthier and younger than they are. And certain diets can actually help your body heal inflammation. And inflammation is now known to be the root cause of premature aging and chronic disease. So we want to tamp down the inflammation in our bodies. And the best way to do that is to make healthy choices with what we eat. And when you do that, you will keep your telomeres longer, and telomeres are found at the end of your chromosomes, and they are predicted, if you have longer telomeres, they're a prediction of longevity and also of a slower aging process. So anything that gets us to longer telomeres is good in my book. So one of the things I like to share with people is, just as a basic visual, is to look for color in their food. Look for rich, colorful foods. And if you'll notice, a lot of, or most, processed foods are beige. There's not a lot of color. And if you look for color on your plate, you'll be drawn to whole veggies and whole fruits, and that's the best way to go. Now, if you go on a no-carb, no-sugar diet, you will feel better. You'll go through a little withdrawal, perhaps. A lot of people do, but the end is so well worth it. And the diet can last for a specific number of days. You can choose the number of days. It's best if you go for a month, because you'll see incredible changes, but at least 7 days you want to go for. And on this diet, on this diet, you are going to experience a change in that sugar creates a response in your brain. Sugar triggers the release of dopamine, which is a feel-good chemical. And it's actually similar to cocaine. And this is hard for many people to believe, but sugar is actually more addictive than cocaine is. And they've done studies with lab rats, and rats are smart. And they've given them a pile of cocaine and a pile of sugar, and they can choose, and every single time they go to the sugar. And that's just indicative of how addictive sugar is. So sugar triggers the release of dopamine, the feel-good chemical in our brain, and so we go to it because we want to feel good, especially if we're feeling down, if we're feeling stressed, if we're feeling pressure, if we're feeling depressed. We'll go for sugar. And watch your behavior when you crave sugar. I like to have people keep a journal. You know, what did I do? Where did I really want sugar and how was I feeling, what was going on. I think that's really helpful for people to log that in, because you think you'll remember. Trust me, you won't. But if you log it in, you'll be able to go back and look and see, okay, I had a fight with my boss, or I had a fight with my husband, or my kids were driving me nuts and I ate a sleeve of cookies. So, it's good to find out what your triggers are, because then you can learn to manage those triggers. So that's a huge thing. Now, as an aside, people are always asking me which kind of sugar is the best to use. And I always tell them sugar is sugar is sugar. There are two kinds of sweeteners that you can use that do not give you an increase in glucose, that do not bump up your glucose, and those are xylitol and stevia. Now, some people don't care for stevia because it has an aftertaste to it that people find unpleasant. Xylitol, on the other hand, tastes very much like sugar, but it does not give you a glucose bump. One caveat with xylitol, actually a couple, that I want to share with you. First of all, for my dog people out there, and I'm certainly one of you, you have to be very careful if you have a dog in your house and you use xylitol, because dogs cannot process xylitol. It is extremely toxic to them and maybe even fatal. So if you're using xylitol, be very careful of your canine family member. And the other thing I wanted to share with you was that xylitol is actually made from hardwood trees. The best xylitol is made from birch trees. And there are imposters who have jumped on the bandwagon, largely coming from China, and they make it from corn. So you want to be very, very sure that your xylitol, A, is not coming from China, and B, says it's made from hardwood trees, preferably birch trees, and not from corn. And I'll tell you, truth be told, a while back I was looking to order xylitol. I was buying it at Whole Foods, and then they stopped carrying what I had been buying, so I started ordering it online, and I couldn't get what I wanted, so I was kind of surfing to see what else there was. And I found one that was cheaper, and I said, wow, this looks good, and naturally sourced. So I bought into it, I got it, and when I turned over the label, it said made from corn. And I didn't use it, and the reason being that corn is largely GMO now, courtesy of Monsanto. So I want it to come from birch trees and not from corn, which is probably going to be GMO corn, unless it says made from organic corn, and then you're okay, but I doubt that they're going to do that if they're trying to keep the price down. So avoid products that come from China because their food regulations are not stellar, and don't buy xylitol that is corn-based. So let's see. If you... I've got my notes here so I can not forget to share something with you. You want to stop eating simple carbohydrates and sugars for the period of time that you have chosen. Now, this, again, you may be one of the lucky ones and you may not have any withdrawal, or you may have withdrawal. You may have tremendous cravings. And what do you do with those cravings? Well, there are a couple of tricks that you can try rather than giving into the sleeve of Oreos. And one of the tricks that you can try is just smelling something sweet. And I know that may sound a little weird, but there have actually been tests done, and people do have a reduction in craving if they just smell something sweet. So you can try that. The other thing that you can do is you can have a little bite of something, and you could make it a little teeny bite of a raspberry. Have a raspberry, or have a little teeny piece of 70% or greater chocolate. And chocolate's an interesting subject because a lot of people don't like dark chocolate, and they have milk chocolate, but milk chocolate is loaded with sugar. So if you are a milk chocolate or a white chocolate devotee, I encourage you to work your way up to the stronger flavor of a dark chocolate. And you can tell if it's more than 50% chocolate if you look at the back of the label and you look at the ingredients. And if the first ingredient is sugar, it is less than 50% chocolate, even if it says dark chocolate. So you have to turn your package over and read your ingredient label. If it says cocoa as the first ingredient, then you're dealing with something that is more than 50% chocolate. And then when it gets higher, when you're 60, 65, 70, 75, even 85, they will proudly proclaim the percentage of cocoa on the front of the package. So look at the front, but always, please, always check your ingredient labels. So another thing that's good to take a pause on if you want to lose weight, feel better, and you're going no carb, no sugar, is to ease up or get dairy products out of your diet for that period of time. And the reason being that dairy products are pretty high in sugar because they contain lactose. Even 1% milk is going to have a significant amount of lactose. And it's a good idea if you back off dairy products for that reason. And also dairy products can cause allergic reactions in a lot of people. They can cause inflammatory reactions. They can cause mucus buildup. They can cause gastric distress. A lot of people have incidents with that. You go out for ice cream and then a half an hour later you don't feel well. Well, you might be dairy intolerant. You might be lactose intolerant. So try backing off dairy during this time. And this is a really good time to also take a look at any yogurt that you might be eating, because if you like the yogurt, as I used to love it, the kind that has the fruit in the bottom and you stir it up. In fact, again, true confessions, I used to push the yogurt aside and eat the cherries. I like the cherries. Eat the cherries, and then I'd mix what was left in with the yogurt. But that is loaded with sugar. That fruit at the bottom is loaded with sugar. And when you mix that into the acidophilus-rich yogurt, it negates the properties of the acidophilus. So you're not getting the benefit of the expensive yogurt that you're buying, because you're mixing sugar-laden fruit in there. Instead, by plain yogurt, if you're going to eat it, and mix berries or chopped up fruit or mashed up fruit, mashed strawberries, mashed bananas, mashed raspberries, delicious. And you're leaving out the added sugar. So that's a tip. If you want to lose weight, the no-carb, no-sugar diet, just cutting them out, is a really good way to do it. And if you eat boxed food, if you eat frozen food, you're going to need to turn over the package and look at the ingredients. Because the front of the package, they do not have to tell the truth there. And on the back, you will find in the section the nutrition label. Now they have to include the percentage of added sugars and how many grams it is, as well as giving you the total grams of sugar. But you want to look also in the ingredient label, and you want to see if there are any sweeteners there. And there are 60 plus names of sweeteners. It's not just sugar. It's lactose, maltose, dextrose, maltodextrin, treacle, simple syrup, all kinds of different names. And I have a resource for you on my blog, thinstronghealthy.com. If you go into resources, you can download a list of the 60 plus names of 60 plus different names of sugar, because they call them all different kinds of things. So if you're just looking for sugar, you could be getting a lot of sugar and not realizing it, a lot of sweetener and not realizing it. So check that out. Check out that resource. I've got a bunch of resources for you there, and I've got a bunch of recipes that you're welcome to just go there and download. So the hidden sugars in food, if something is low fat or no fat, be very suspicious of the amount of sugar that's in there. And that's because when they took out the fat, Fat has a lot of flavor, it turns out. So they added a ton of salt and they added a ton of sugar to make up for the fat. And dietary fat is not your enemy. Dietary fat is not your enemy. Our enemy in this whole battle with our health and our waistline and our belly fat, our challenge is to get off processed food. And that's a whole other topic that I'll be covering in the coming podcast episodes. But just turn over your package for now if you're buying packaged food and look at the ingredient label and make sure that you're not getting hoodwinked into buying something that has a whole lot of sugar in it, because that is not going to serve you. If you're trying to diet and lose weight, processed food is not your friend. It's not your friend in any way, and it's a whole process to get off processed food. And again, we'll talk more about that because it's a huge subject. Now, you can have an egg occasionally. Eggs are they contain less than 1 carb, and you can also have non-starchy vegetables. If you're going to have potatoes, I would caution you to avoid white potatoes and red bliss potatoes, which are white in the center, and go for sweet potatoes. They also have Stokes purple potatoes, and those are purple on the outside, they're purple on the inside. They take a lot longer to cook. There's a lot more fiber and a lot more stuff in there going on. They take longer to cook, but they are delicious. They're really good. I roast them in the oven. I have made potato salad with them, but the salad ends up being kind of purple. So if you like purple and you want purple potato salad, be my guest. But they're really good if you roast them or steam them. That's good too. Nuts and seeds are also good for you, but remember, nuts tend to be high in fat. So if you're trying to lose weight, eat them in moderation. But that's a really good way to go if you're looking for a snack in the afternoon. And keep a log, keep a journal. And you're welcome to email me, Cheryl@thinstronghealthy.com, and ask me to send you a copy of the food journal that I will gladly give you. I do not have that posted on my blog because my courses that I teach, that I develop and teach people, I have those in those courses. So if you want, I will gladly give it to you. Just email me, Cheryl@thinstronghealthy.com, and tell me, and just put, send me the food journal. That's a good, that'll catch my eye. Send me the food journal in the subject line, and I will shoot that right out to you. So if you're trying to do no carb, no sugar, one other thing I want to share with you is a tip or two on how to eat if you're going out to eat in a restaurant. I mean, the best thing for you to do, for so many reasons, is to cook at home. I know it's labor intensive. I know people don't have time. I know it's fun to eat out. Everybody likes to eat out. But just know that when you eat out, you give up control over the carbs and the sugar. You give control, and this is again a subject for another time, but you're giving up control over the oils that they're using to cook. And be aware that if you're doing no carb, no sugar, if you go out to eat and you do a protein and vegetables or protein and salad, that's a really good way to go. Anytime you have sauces, anytime you have any kind of fried something, then you're getting into trouble, and you're getting off your no sugar, no carb route. So the best thing to do is to go with things that are grilled, things that are steamed, things that are stir-fried and without sauces. So I hope you will choose a designated period of time and commit to doing no carb, no sugar. Email me for the food journal because that has some prompts to help you keep track of what you have been eating, keep track of how you are feeling when you reach for that box of Oreos. That's important. You got to find your triggers. But if you can commit to this period of time with no carb, no sugar, I guarantee you're going to see a huge change. You're going to see a change in your skin. You'll see a change in your waistline. You'll probably have more energy. You'll sleep better, and your mood might even be better. I know for myself that getting off simple carbs, and I'm not saying don't eat complex carbs after this. You can add things back in. But if you get off the processed food and the simple carbs and the sugars, you can transform your life. I mean, I'm living proof. You can transform your life. And that means, I mean, I'm not taking antidepressant medication anymore, and I was for sure. A number of times during my life, I have been on and off and on and off and on and off them. I haven't taken them in 8 years. And that's because I changed how I eat. So I want to share this with you. So try a no-carb, no-sugar diet for a certain period of time and see how you feel. Let me know. You can use my email to let me know how it works for you or any challenges that you're having too. So thanks for listening. This is Cheryl A. Major with ThinStrongHealthy.com signing off for now. And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.